A week after my son's wedding, the man who stole my chair called me sir. And that's when I knew he wasn't the same boy I raised. My name is Frank Henderson, and for 72 years I thought I knew what family meant. I'm here in the same house where I raised my boy. The walls still smell like the pine oil soap my late wife Mary used every Saturday morning. That was 30 years of Saturdays, and the scent never left. Neither did the memories. This workbench right here. I built it the summer Jimmy turned 8. He'd stand on that little stool, the one with his name carved crooked into the leg, and hand me tools while I fixed radios for neighbors. Back when things could still be fixed, back when people wanted them fixed, I taught that boy everything I knew. How to change a tire in the rain without cussing too much. How to bait a hook so the bluegill couldn't steal it. How to shake a man's hand and look him in the eye when you did it. How to keep your word even when it cost you something. There's a picture on that wall. 4th of July, 1987, Jimmy's holding a sparkler, and his whole face is lit up like he'd just discovered fire for the first time. I'm crouched down next to him, my hand on his shoulder, and Mary's laughing at something he said. I can't remember what it was anymore. But I remember that laugh. I thought those days built something permanent. I thought when you pour that much love and time into another human being, it creates a foundation that can't crack. I thought blood meant something more than just shared DNA. I was wrong. The first time I met Cassandra, she walked into my home like she was touring a museum of mistakes. Jimmy had called 2 weeks earlier, voice all nervous and excited. Dad, I met someone special. I want you to meet her. 43 years old, my son, and he still had that little boy shake in his voice when he was happy. Made my chest tight in a good way. I cleaned the house, top to bottom. Put out Mary's good china, the set with the blue flowers that we only used for Christmas and funerals. Made my famous pot roast, the one Jimmy used to request for every birthday. Carrots and potatoes, slow cooked for 6 hours until the meat fell apart on your fork. She arrived in heels that could have punctured concrete. Click, click, click across my hardwood floors that I'd refinished myself when Jimmy was in high school. Each step sounded like a judgment being rendered. Dad, this is Cassandra. Jimmy had his arm around her waist like he was afraid she'd float away. I extended my hand. Frank Henderson, welcome to my home. She touched my palm like it might be contagious. One of those limp handshakes that tells you everything you need to know about a person. Charming place, she said, and I've been around long enough to know when someone means the exact opposite of what they're saying. Her eyes roamed over everything. The old television in the corner that still worked perfectly fine. The Afghan on the couch that Mary had crocheted during her last winter, the photographs covering nearly every surface, proof that people had loved each other here, that joy had been real. I saw her nose wrinkle when she took her seat. Just a fraction, just enough. Dinner was hell with a pot roast. I asked her about her work, something with social media marketing that I didn't fully understand. She answered in that patient tone people use when they think you're stupid. Short sentences, lots of glances at her phone. So, you help companies sell things on the computer? I asked. It's called digital brand optimization, Frank. Not Dad, not even Mr. Henderson, just Frank. Like I was some guy she'd just met at a bus stop. Jimmy didn't seem to notice, or maybe he did and chose to ignore it. My son picked her over me before I even knew there was a choice to make. I brought out the pot roast, proud of how the meat had turned out. Perfect tenderness, rich gravy, vegetables cooked just right. Cassandra took one bite and set down her fork. I'm actually mostly plant-based now, she announced, for ethical reasons. There were potatoes and carrots on her plate. Last I checked, those grew in the ground. But I didn't say anything, just watched my son's face fall a little. Watched him try to smooth it over with nervous laughter. Dad's pot roast is kind of a family tradition, he said to her, apologetic. as if my 40 years of making that recipe needed an apology. "That's sweet," she said, in a voice that suggested it was anything but. The rest of the evening was me asking questions that she answered while looking elsewhere. Her eyes kept drifting to the peeling wallpaper in the corner, the outdated light fixtures, the worn spots on the carpet where decades of living had left their mark. When they got up to leave, I hugged my son tight. "I'm happy for you," I whispered, because he was my boy, and I wanted him to be happy, even if something in my gut was already screaming warnings I didn't want to hear. Cassandra offered another one of those dead fish handshakes. "Thanks for having us, Frank." After they left, I dropped into my chair. Mary's chair was still empty beside mine, always would be, and stared at her barely touched plate. I scraped the food into the garbage and felt something I couldn't name yet, something cold. The wedding invitation came on cream-colored cardstock with gold-embossed letters. Formal, expensive, the kind of thing that made my $20 tie feel shabby before I even put it on. I got there early because that's what you do. You show up for your child's wedding early, ready to help with whatever needs helping. But there was no role for me. No boutonniere pinning, no last-minute father-son moment. Just a coordinator with a clipboard who pointed me toward my seat. Row 7, behind Cassandra's college roommates, behind her yoga instructor, behind people who'd known my son for 7 months, getting priority over the man who'd raised him for 43 years. I took my seat and tried to tell myself it didn't matter. It was their day. These things happen. Modern weddings are different. But then the ceremony started, and I watched my son walk down the aisle with Cassandra's father, a man in a suit that cost more than my truck. I watched them do a unity candle ceremony where they mixed sand from beaches I'd never heard of. I watched them exchange vows about choosing each other above all others, about building a new family, about leaving the past behind and embracing the future. Every word was a knife in my back. The reception was worse. I found my name card at table 12, tucked in the back corner near the kitchen doors, next to Cassandra's uncle, who spent the whole dinner talking to the person on his other side. No father-son dance. They cut that from the program. We wanted to keep things modern and egalitarian, the DJ announced. Instead, they did a choreographed routine to some pop song that had everyone under 30 cheering. I watched from my table in the shadows. When it came time for toasts, I got up. I'd prepared something. Just a short few words about watching Jimmy grow up, about how proud Mary would have been, about wishing them happiness. But before I could get the microphone, Cassandra's maid of honor was already speaking. Then her father gave a 20-minute speech about excellence and achievement. Then her boss said something about power couples. Then Jimmy's college friend told some story about a spring break trip I'd never heard about. The coordinator started ushering people toward the cake cutting. My moment had passed, had never existed, really. I approached Jimmy afterward during the chaos of people leaving. "Son, I just wanted to say..." "Dad." He was drunk, sloppy happy, tie loosened. "Thanks for coming. Wasn't it amazing?" Cassandra appeared beside him, her hand possessive on his arm. "Frank, did you enjoy yourself?" That same patient voice, like she was asking a child if he liked the party. "I wanted to give a toast," I said quietly. "Oh," she glanced at Jimmy. "We had to keep things moving. You know how these events are. So many people wanted to speak. Just not me, not the man who'd taught the groom how to tie his shoes, how to ride a bike, how to be a man." "Sure," I said, "of course." Cassandra leaned in, her perfume too strong, her smile too white. "Thanks for the check, by the way. Very generous." She said it just loud enough for the people around us to hear. Loud enough to establish that I was the old man with the checkbook, not the father of the groom. They swept away into a crowd of well-wishers, and I ended up holding a piece of cake on a gold-rimmed plate I hadn't asked for. I left early, no one noticed. The first week after the wedding, I didn't hear from Jimmy. I told myself they were busy. Honeymoon in Cancun, according to the photos she posted online that I learned to look at from my neighbor's grandson showing me how to use the computer. Week 2, I called, left a voicemail. Hey, son, just checking in. Hope you two are settling in okay. Love you. No call back, just a text 3 days later. Crazy busy with work. Talk soon. Week 3, I drove over to their new place. Cassandra had insisted they rent one of those downtown lofts with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows, 800 square feet, for what I paid monthly for my entire mortgage. I knocked. Heard movement inside. Knocked again. Cassandra opened the door halfway. She was in workout clothes, holding a green juice. Frank, hi. We weren't expecting you. Just thought I'd drop by, see how you two are doing. Brought some of that banana bread Jimmy likes. I held up the tin, still warm from the oven. Oh, Jimmy's not here? He's at the gym. I can wait. Actually, we have plans right after. Friends thing, you know how it is. There I was, holding banana bread like a damn fool, being dismissed on a doorstep by a woman who'd been in my son's life for less than a year. Can you just give this to him? She took the tin like it weighed 100 pounds. Sure. Thanks, Frank. The door closed. I called Jimmy from my truck, straight to voicemail. Week 4, I tried again. This time, I got him on the phone. Dad, hey, sorry I've been hard to reach. That's okay, son. Just wanted to hear your voice. Maybe grab lunch this weekend? A pause. I could hear Cassandra saying something in the background, too quiet for me to make out. This weekend's tough, Dad. We've got this couple's yoga retreat thing. Next weekend, then. I'll have to check the calendar. Things are just really packed right now. New job's been crazy. I understand. I didn't. I love you, son. Yeah, love you too, Dad. I'll call you soon, okay? He didn't. Week 5, I went back to the house with my homemade apple pie, the one with the lattice crust that had won 3rd place at the county fair in 1993, the one Jimmy used to request for Thanksgiving instead of pumpkin. I rang the bell, waited, rang again. Cassandra answered, annoyed. Frank, brought pie. Can I come in for just a minute? She actually laughed. A short, sharp sound. Frank, you can't just show up unannounced. We have boundaries. I'm his father, and he's a grown man with his own life. She softened her voice, theatrical concern flooding in. Look, I know this adjustment is hard for you, but Jimmy needs space to build his new life, our life. You understand, right? I looked past her, trying to see into the apartment, trying to see any sign of my son. Is he here? He's resting. Can I just say hello? He specifically asked not to be disturbed. I'm sorry, Frank. Maybe call first next time. She took the pie, I'm sure it ended up in their trash, and closed the door in my face. I stood there in that hallway that smelled like expensive coffee and money, and I felt something break inside my chest. Not my heart exactly. That had been broken when Mary died. This was different. This was the moment I realized I'd lost my son to a woman who saw him as a project and me as an obstacle. I drove home through traffic that blurred behind tears I refused to acknowledge. When I got back to my house, my empty, quiet, memory-soaked house, I dropped into my chair and looked at Jimmy's sparkler picture on the wall. That little boy was gone, and the man who'd replaced him didn't have room for his father anymore. I didn't know yet that it was about to get so much worse. I didn't know that loneliness was the least of what they had planned for me. It was a Tuesday morning when the first real crack appeared in whatever facade they'd been building. I was having coffee, the cheap kind that Cassandra had wrinkled her nose at when I heard something slide under my front door. Not the mail. Mail comes in the afternoon. This was deliberate. I walked over, knees creaking the way they do now, and found a business card face down on my welcome mat. Turned it over. Mitchell and Associates, Notary Public Services, Estate Planning Specialists. Just a card, nothing else, no note, no explanation. I held it and something cold crawled up my spine. The kind of cold that has nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with knowing somewhere deep in your gut that you're in danger. I called the number on the card, got a receptionist with a voice like honey over steel. Mitchell and Associates, how may I direct your call? Yeah, hi, I found your card at my door. I'm wondering if someone requested you contact me. A pause. Keyboard clicking. May I have your name, sir? Frank Henderson. More clicking. I don't see any notes in our system about outreach to you, Mr. Henderson. Perhaps someone recommended our services? Who would have left your card here? I'm afraid I don't have that information. We do a lot of community outreach. Is there something we can help you with today? Estate planning, power of attorney documents, living trusts? Every word felt like a trap being set in real time. No, thank you. I hung up and stared at that card for a long time. 2 days later, Jimmy called. First time in 3 weeks. Hey, Dad, how are you doing? His voice was wrong. Too cheerful, rehearsed. I'm fine, son. Good to hear from you. Listen, Cassandra and I were thinking you're getting up there in age, and we want to make sure you're taken care of. Have you thought about, planning for the future? Making sure everything's in order? There it was, the reason for the call. What do you mean, everything? Just like legal stuff, making sure your affairs are organized. Your will, the house, your finances. We know someone who can help make it all really simple. I don't need help with that, Jimmy. Dad, don't be stubborn. This is important. What if something happens to you? We need to make sure of what? Exactly? A pause. I could hear Cassandra's voice murmuring something. Just that you're protected, Dad, that's all. There's this notary we know, really good, very professional. Maybe they could come by, just talk to you about options. A notary named Mitchell? Silence. Then, did they already contact you? Someone left their card at my door. Want to tell me why? Dad, we're just trying to help. You're 72 years old, living alone in that big house. Things need to be formalized. That big house, the one where I'd raised him, the one that was suddenly too big, too much, too problematic. I'll handle my own affairs. Thank you. Dad, I need to go, Jimmy. I hung up before he could say anything else. My hand was shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that card, about the timing, about the way Cassandra had looked at my house that first day, cataloging everything like an appraiser. At 2 a.m, I got up and went to my basement, to the old filing cabinet where Mary and I kept all our important papers, birth certificates, marriage license, tax returns going back 40 years, and the property deed. I pulled it out, yellowed paper, dated 1978, the year we bought this place for $43,000, paid off in 2003, fully mine, worth, according to the property tax assessment I'd gotten last year, close to $670,000, prime real estate, walking distance to that new shopping district they built. All those young couples with money moving into the neighborhood, buying up old houses and gutting them, turning them into open concept, whatever the hell. I dropped onto the cold basement floor holding that deed and understood. My son hadn't just drifted away, he'd been turned, and now they wanted what I had, but there was something else in that filing cabinet, something I'd forgotten about. Behind the deed, in an old manila envelope, was a document from the VA. I'm a veteran, 3 years in the Army, 1971 to 1974. Didn't see combat, didn't do anything heroic, just served my time and came home. But the VA had sent me paperwork years ago about survivor benefits, about a small pension I qualified for that I'd never bothered to claim because Mary and I did okay without it. I pulled out that paperwork now. I read through it carefully. There was money there. Not a fortune, but enough to matter. Enough that if someone had power of attorney over me, if someone controlled my affairs, they could claim it, could redirect it. I remembered something else. Last year, Jimmy had mentioned life insurance, asked if I had any. I'd told him about the small policy, $50,000 that Mary and I had taken out back in the 80s, barely enough to cover a funeral these days, but it was something. All these pieces, all these assets. Not much individually, maybe, but together. Someone had done math. Someone had looked at me and seen dollar signs. I climbed back, upstairs, every step an effort, and spread all these papers across my kitchen table. My son, my Jimmy, the boy I'd raised to be honest and good. Either he was in on it or she had him so twisted up he couldn't see straight. Either way, I was alone in this. Or so I thought. I didn't sleep that night, just worked through papers and coffee and growing rage that had nowhere to go yet. At 6 a.m, I called the one person I knew would pick up. Frank? Jesus, it's early. You okay? Bobby Morales. We'd served together way back. He'd gone into law enforcement after discharge, worked his way up to detective, retired 5 years ago. We played poker once a month, complained about our backs and our kids and the way the world didn't make sense anymore. Bobby, I need help. Can you come over? He heard something in my voice. Give me 30 minutes. Bobby showed up with bagels and the sharp eyes that had never stopped being a cop's eyes, even in retirement. I showed him everything, the card, the phone calls, the deed, the VA paperwork, told him about Cassandra's looks, Jimmy's distance, the wedding where I was made invisible. He listened without interrupting, eating a bagel and getting cream cheese in his mustache the way he always did. When I finished, he sat back. You think your daughter-in-law is trying to con you out of your assets? I think my son's wife sees me as a problem to be solved. Those are different things, Frank. Are they? Bobby rubbed his face. Okay, let's think about this clearly. Worst case scenario, they're planning to get power of attorney over you, claim you're incompetent or incapacitated, take control of your assets, the house, the VA benefits, the life insurance. Best case, they're just pushy about estate planning, and you're paranoid. Which one does your gut say? He looked at all the papers. My gut says anyone who leaves a notary's card under an old man's door without a conversation first is up to something. My gut says you're right to be worried. So what do I do? First thing, don't sign anything, nothing. They come at you with papers. You say no. You say you want your own lawyer to review it. You stall. I don't have a lawyer. You do now? Bobby pulled out his phone. My daughter, you remember Rosa? She's a lawyer now. Elder law, actually. Specializes in this kind of thing. Let me call her. Rosa Morales showed up 2 hours later. She was in her 30s, sharp as her father had ever been, dressed like she meant business. Mr. Henderson, my dad filled me in. I need to ask you some questions, and I need you to be completely honest with me. For the next hour, she grilled me about my health, good for my age, just the usual aches, about my mental state, sharp enough to know when I'm being screwed, about my finances, modest savings, the house, the pension, Social Security, about my relationship with Jimmy. Painful to talk about, but I told her everything. She made notes on a yellow legal pad, and when I finished, she looked up with eyes that were kind but firm. Mr. Henderson, I'll be blunt. What you're describing follows a pattern I've seen before. Financial exploitation of elderly parents. Sometimes the adult child is the primary actor. Sometimes they're being manipulated by a spouse or partner. Either way, it's abuse and it's illegal. Hearing someone else say it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. What do? We document everything, every phone call, every visit, every request for signatures or information. We make sure you have your own power of attorney designated, someone you trust who isn't your son. We review all your accounts and assets, make sure nothing's been changed or moved without your knowledge, and we prepare for them to make their move. Prepare how? She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. We let them try, but we make sure we're recording it when they do. Bobby leaned forward. You thinking a sting? I'm thinking we give Mr. Henderson the tools to protect himself, And if they attempt fraud or coercion, we make sure there's evidence. Won't that destroy what's left of my relationship with my son? Rosa's face softened. Mr. Henderson, I'm sorry, but from what you've described, that relationship is already being destroyed. This is about protecting yourself and possibly protecting your son from himself. If he's being manipulated, the best thing you can do is expose it. Over the next week, Rosa set everything up. She filed paperwork making Bobby my power of attorney and healthcare proxy. She reviewed all my accounts. Nothing had been touched yet, but she added alerts for any unusual activity. She had me write down everything, dates and times, and exact words from conversations. And she got me a recorder, one of those small digital ones that fit in a shirt pocket. If they come to you with papers, with this notary, you record it. Everything they say, every promise, every pressure tactic, every word. You stay calm, you play along enough to get them talking, but you don't sign anything. What if Jimmy's really in on it? The question hurt to ask. Rosa put her hand on mine. Then you need to know that. Better to know the truth than to be stolen from by someone you're protecting. Bobby drove me home that afternoon. Before he left, he gripped my shoulder. Frank, you're not alone in this. Whatever happens, we've got your back. I nodded, not trusting my voice. That night, I settled into my chair and looked at that sparkler picture of Jimmy again. That little boy's face full of wonder and joy and trust. I wondered if any of that boy was left in the man he'd become. I was about to find out. They called 3 days later. Not Jimmy, Cassandra. Frank, hi, I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. Her voice was sugar, poison sugar. I'm here. Great. So Jimmy and I have been talking, and we really think it's important to get your estate planning sorted out. We actually have that notary I mentioned, Mitchell, and he can come by tomorrow afternoon if that works for you, just to go over some options, no pressure. What kind of options? Oh, just standard stuff. Making sure your assets are protected, setting up simple power of attorney so that if anything happens to you, someone you trust can handle things. Really basic, responsible planning. And who would that someone be? Well, naturally it would be Jimmy. He's your son, he knows what you'd want. I reached into my shirt pocket and clicked the recorder on. What time tomorrow? 2 o'clock work? We'll come with Mitchell. Make it easy for you. I'll be here. Perfect. And Frank, this is really for the best. You'll feel so much better having everything organized. I hung up and immediately called Rosa. They're coming tomorrow? 2 o'clock? Good. Remember what we talked about. Be cordial but confused. Ask questions, get them to explain everything on tape, and do not sign anything. What if they push? Then they push. Let them. The harder they push, the better it is for our case if we need to take this to court. That night, I barely slept again. Kept rehearsing in my head how I'd play it, the frail old man, a little forgetful, a little overwhelmed, not the man who'd already figured out their game. 2 o'clock came with 3 knocks on my door. I opened it to find Jimmy, Cassandra, and a man in a suit carrying a leather briefcase. Dad! Jimmy hugged me and God help me, it felt real for a second. Felt like my son still loved me. Then he pulled back and I saw Cassandra's hand on his elbow. Proprietary. Mr. Henderson, I'm Richard Mitchell. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us today. The notary had a firm handshake and dead eyes. Eyes that had probably watched 100 old people sign away their lives. Come in, I guess. They arranged themselves in my living room like a tribunal. Mitchell set his briefcase on my coffee table, the one I'd built in 1982, and clicked it open. Papers. So many papers. The recorder in my pocket was running. I could feel its slight weight against my ribs. Mr. Henderson, I understand your son and daughter-in-law have expressed some concerns about your estate planning. Mitchell began. Have they? It's completely natural at your age to want to make sure everything is in order. What we're proposing today is very simple. a general power of attorney that would allow your son to manage your affairs if you become unable to do so yourself. I'm perfectly able right now. Of course, this is just a precaution. Think of it as insurance. Cassandra leaned forward, her hand on Jimmy's knee. Frank, we just want to make sure you're taken care of. You're not getting any younger, and this house is so much for you to manage alone. I've managed fine for 30 years. But what if something happens? Jimmy said, and there was real concern in his voice. For a moment, I wanted to believe it was for me and not for what I owned. What if you fall or get sick, or then I'll handle it. Mitchell shuffled papers. Mr. Henderson, I should mention that we've prepared some additional documents for your review. This one here is a quitclaim deed for the property, which would transfer ownership to your son while allowing you to remain in the home for the rest of your life. Very common arrangement. And there it was, the real play. Transfer ownership of my house. You'd still live here, you'd have full rights to remain, but this simplifies things from an estate perspective, avoids probate, saves on taxes. What taxes? Mitchell blinked. Estate taxes. My estate isn't worth enough to be taxed. A flash of annoyance crossed his face, quickly smoothed away. There are other considerations. Capital gains, for instance. For who? Well, eventually, when the property is sold. Who said anything about selling? Cassandra jumped in, voice still sweet. Frank, no one's talking about selling right now, but eventually you might want to downsize, move somewhere more manageable. A nice senior community, maybe, where there are people around, activities, healthcare right there. You mean a nursing home? An active adult community, she corrected. I've actually done some research. There's a lovely place about 20 minutes from here. They have a waiting list, but with your age and circumstances, you might qualify for priority placement. She'd researched nursing homes for me, without asking me. Jimmy was nodding along. My son, who I'd taught to fish and drive and be a man, was nodding while his wife planned to warehouse me. And the VA benefits? I asked quietly. Where do those fit in? Mitchell glanced at Cassandra. Just a flicker. I'm sorry? I have VA benefits I never claimed. Small pension I'm entitled to. That part of this arrangement too? Mr. Henderson, if you have unclaimed benefits, absolutely those should be processed. In fact, with power of attorney, your son could handle that paperwork for you. The VA bureaucracy can be quite complex. I was in the Army. I think I can handle Army bureaucracy. Dad, don't be difficult, Jimmy said, and there was an edge now. We're trying to help you. By taking my house. By protecting your assets. My assets, not yours. Cassandra's smile was getting brittle. Frank, you're being paranoid. This is standard estate planning. People do this all the time. Then why did you leave a notary's card under my door before asking me? Silence. Why have you been pushing my son away from me for months? That's not. Why did you treat me like garbage at the wedding? Why do you look at my home like it's something to be ashamed of? Why are you in such a hurry to get me to sign papers that benefit you? Mitchell started packing up his briefcase. Mr. Henderson, if you're not interested in our services, I'm not, Dad. Jimmy got up, face red. You're being completely unreasonable. We're trying to help you, and you're acting like we're criminals. Are you? What? Are you criminals? Are you trying to con your father out of everything he has? Cassandra got up, pulling Jimmy toward the door. We don't have to listen to this. He's clearly not in his right mind. I'm in my right mind enough to say no. Dad, please. Jimmy's voice cracked. For a second, I saw something real there. Confusion. Maybe even doubt. Son, I love you. But I'm not signing anything. If you want a relationship with me, then come see me. Without her, without papers, just you and me. But I'm not giving you my house. Mitchell was already at the door. Cassandra pulled Jimmy after her, but he hesitated. Dad. Go home, Jimmy. Think about what you're doing. Think about who you're doing it for. They left. The door closed. I stood in my living room, heart pounding, hands shaking, and clicked off the recorder. I had it all, every word, every pressure tactic, every reveal of their true intentions. But I didn't feel victorious. I felt like I'd just lost my son all over again. I called Rosa immediately after they left. My hands were still shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone twice. I got it, all of it, everything they said. Good. Bring the recording to my office tomorrow morning. Don't do anything else tonight, Frank. Just rest. But I couldn't rest. I dropped into my chair and listened to that recording 3 times. Heard my son's voice agreeing to strip me of my home. Heard Cassandra's calculated sweetness. Heard Mitchell's practiced manipulation. Each playback hurt worse than the last. Bobby came over that night without being asked. He brought Chinese takeout and sat with me while I picked at fried rice I couldn't taste. You did good today, Frank. You stayed calm, got everything we need. I don't feel good. I feel like I just burned down the last bridge to my son. You didn't burn anything. They did. You just refused to let them walk across it carrying everything you own. Rosa reviewed the recording the next morning in her office. I watched her face as she listened, saw her jaw tighten, saw her make notes with increasing pressure on the pen. When it finished, she looked up. This is textbook elder financial abuse, coercion, undue influence, attempted fraud. The notary alone could lose his license for this. Your daughter-in-law is looking at potential criminal charges. And my son? She paused. That's harder. He's clearly involved, but a decent lawyer could argue he was manipulated by his wife, that he genuinely thought he was helping you. Do you believe that? Does it matter what I believe? Yes, Rosa sighed. I think your son is weak. I think he fell in love with a woman who saw an opportunity, and he went along with it because it was easier than standing up to her. I think he's guilty of betrayal, even if he's not guilty of conspiracy. Somehow that was worse. If Jimmy had been evil, I could hate him cleanly. But weakness? Cowardice? That meant the son I raised was still in there somewhere, just buried under poor choices and a manipulative wife. What happens now? Now we file a complaint with the state licensing board against Mitchell. We file a police report for attempted fraud. And we prepare for them to escalate. Escalate how? They'll try to have you declared incompetent. They'll claim you're paranoid, delusional, unable to manage your own affairs. It's the next logical step when the easy route fails. Can they do that? They can try. That's why we need to be ready. Rosa spent the next week building a fortress around me. She had my doctor write a letter confirming my mental competency. She had me take a cognitive assessment, passed with flying colors. She documented every asset, every account, every piece of property in meticulous detail. And then we waited. The call came on Thursday, not from Jimmy or Cassandra, from a lawyer. Mr. Henderson, my name is Gregory Vaughn. I represent James Henderson, your son. I'm calling regarding some concerns about your capacity to manage your affairs. Is that right? Mr. Henderson, your son loves you very much. He's concerned that you've been showing signs of confusion, paranoia, possibly early dementia. He wants to ensure you receive proper care. I'm perfectly fine. Nevertheless, he's prepared to file a petition with the court to have a capacity evaluation done. He's hoping you'll agree to this voluntarily, avoid the unpleasantness of a legal battle. Every word was a knife. My son, my Jimmy, was trying to have me declared incompetent. You tell my son that if he wants to see me declared crazy, he can try. But I've got lawyers too. Mr. Henderson, please understand. I hung up. Then I called Rosa. They're going for incompetency. Good. Let them. 2 days later, the formal petition arrived. James Henderson, petitioner, requesting the court evaluate Frank Henderson's mental capacity and appoint a guardian to manage his affairs. The guardian they proposed? James Henderson. I read that petition at my kitchen table, and something inside me that had been cracking finally broke completely. This was my son, my blood. The boy I'd held when he was hours old, when Mary was sleeping, and it was just him and me in that hospital room, and I'd promised him I'd always protect him, always be there for him, always love him, and he was doing this. The hearing was set for 3 weeks out. Rosa prepared me like a lawyer prepping for trial. They'll paint you as confused, isolated, irrational. They'll say you're accusing family members of conspiracies that don't exist. Our job is to show that not only are you completely competent, but that your concerns are legitimate and documented. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, cheap wood paneling, a judge who looked tired. Before the proceedings even started, Jimmy sat on the other side with Cassandra and their lawyer. He wouldn't look at me. Their case went first. Vaughn presented their evidence, my paranoid accusations about the notary, my irrational refusal to do basic estate planning, my concerning isolation and withdrawal from family. Then he called Cassandra as a witness. She took the stand in a demure dress, hair pulled back, looking like the picture of concerned family. Mrs. Henderson, can you describe your father-in-law's recent behavior? It's been very concerning. Her voice was soft, pained. He makes wild accusations. He insists we're trying to steal from him, which is just heartbreaking. We love Frank. We're trying to help him. Has he become more isolated? Yes. He refuses to see us. He won't return calls. He's alone in that house all day, and we worry about him constantly. In your opinion, does Mr. Henderson need assistance managing his affairs? I think he needs help. Not because we want anything from him, but because we love him and want him to be safe. She was good. I'll give her that. She was very good. Then it was Rosa's turn. Mrs. Henderson, how long have you known your father-in-law? About 1.5 years. And in that time, how many times have you visited him without your husband? I'm not sure. Let me help you. 0, correct? I suppose. How many times have you called him just to talk? We're both very busy. 0. How many times have you invited him to your home for dinner, for holidays? Cassandra's face was hardening. We have invited him. After the wedding, how many invitations? I don't have an exact number. Rosa pulled out phone records, email printouts. I do. 0 invitations, but 15 calls from Mr. Henderson to your home that went unreturned. 12 text messages he sent to his son with minimal responses. Does that sound like a man choosing isolation or a man being isolated? We've been busy researching nursing homes for him, active adult communities. Without his knowledge or consent, communities that would require him to sell his home, a home you and your husband attempted to have transferred into your names. Correct? Vaughn objected. The judge overruled. Cassandra was sweating now. That was standard estate planning. Estate planning that included a quitclaim deed you failed to mention in your testimony just now. Estate planning that involved a notary who has since had his license suspended for ethical violations. Estate planning that Mr. Henderson clearly and repeatedly refused. Does that sound like a help, or does that sound like something else? We were trying. Let me play something for the court. Rosa had gotten the recording admitted as evidence. The judge had allowed it. The courtroom listened to Mitchell's voice, Cassandra's voice, Jimmy's voice, all of it. The pressure, the manipulation, the moment they revealed their real intentions. When it finished, the courtroom was silent. Cassandra was pale. Jimmy had his head in his hands. Then Rosa called me to the stand. Mr. Henderson, can you tell the court your educational background? High school diploma, some technical training in the Army, and your work history? Factory foreman for 32 years, retired in 2005. Did you manage budgets in that position? I managed a crew of 45 people and a parts inventory worth about $2 million. Never came up short once. Do you manage your own finances currently? Have for 50 years? Pay my bills on time, balance my checkbook every month, got savings, no debt except utilities. Rosa walked me through everything. My medical records, my cognitive assessment scores, my financial documentation, my volunteer work at the VFW hall, my friendships with Bobby and the other guys from poker night. I was competent, demonstrably, obviously competent. Then Rosa asked the question that mattered. Mr. Henderson, why do you think your son filed this petition? I looked across the courtroom at Jimmy. Finally, he looked back. I think my son fell in love with a woman who saw me as a piggy bank. I think she's been working on him for over a year, turning him against me, isolating him from me, convincing him that taking my assets is somehow helping me. I think my son is a good man who's making terrible choices because he's being manipulated, and I think if he doesn't wake up soon, he's going to lose himself completely. Do you love your son? My voice broke. More than anything in this world? Do you want a relationship with him? That's all I've ever wanted. The judge called a recess. 45 minutes later, we reconvened. I've reviewed all the evidence presented, the judge said, and I find absolutely no basis for the claims made in this petition. Mr. Frank Henderson is clearly competent to manage his own affairs. In fact, he appears to have managed them better than many people half his age. This petition is denied. Relief hit me like a wave, but the judge wasn't done. Furthermore, I'm troubled by what I've heard today. This court takes elder abuse very seriously. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal investigation. I'm also recommending that the State Bar review Mr. Vaughn's conduct in bringing this petition with what appears to be fabricated evidence of incapacity. Vaughn went white. Cassandra grabbed Jimmy's arm. Mr. James Henderson, the judge continued, looking directly at my son. I don't know if you're a victim here or a co-conspirator, but I strongly suggest you take a hard look at your marriage and your choices. Blood doesn't come around twice. Court adjourned. The fallout came quickly. The district attorney's office opened an investigation within a week. Detectives interviewed me, interviewed Bobby, interviewed the neighbors who'd seen Cassandra and Mitchell at my door. They subpoenaed Mitchell's client records and found 6 other elderly clients who'd been pressured into similar arrangements. Mitchell lost more than his license. He lost his freedom. 18 months for fraud, conspiracy, and elder abuse. Vaughn, the lawyer, faced disciplinary action from the state bar, suspended for 6 months, required to take ethics courses. His reputation in legal circles was destroyed. And Cassandra, she ran. 2 weeks after the hearing, she filed for divorce from Jimmy, took half of what little they had, and moved to Arizona. Gone, like she'd never been there at all, except for the wreckage she left behind. Jimmy showed up at my door one evening 3 weeks after the hearing. I almost didn't answer. Stood with my hand on the knob, heart pounding, not sure if I could look at him, but he was my son. I opened the door. He looked terrible. Thinner, older, broken. Dad, his voice cracked. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat in the living room, the same room where he'd tried to take my house, the same chairs where we used to watch football on Sundays when he was in high school. I'm sorry. He was crying now, ugly crying, the kind that comes from the bottom of your soul. God, Dad. I'm so sorry for all of it, for believing her, for pushing you away, for the petition, for everything. I watched my 43-year-old son break down, and I didn't know what to feel. Anger, relief, grief, love, all of it at once. Why, Jimmy, just tell me why. I don't know. I fell in love, and she was so confident, so sure about everything, and she kept saying you needed help, that the house was too much for you, that we were doing the right thing, and I wanted to believe her because... He stopped, wiped his face, because it was easier than admitting I'd married someone who saw my father as a mark. You knew, though. Somewhere you knew. Yeah, I think I did, but I didn't want to know, you know? I wanted her to be who I thought she was. I wanted the life she promised, and I convinced myself that what we were doing was actually helping you. You tried to take my home, son. I know. You tried to have me declared crazy. I know. You shut me out for months, treated me like I was nothing. I know, Dad. I know. He looked up at me, face wrecked. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I can forgive myself. I just needed you to hear me say it. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You deserved better. You deserved so much better. I let that sit for a long time. The clock on the wall, Mary's mother's clock, ticked away seconds. I taught you better than this, I finally said. I know. I raised you to be honest, to be strong, to stand up for what's right. I know. And somewhere along the way, you forgot all of that. I did. More silence, more ticking. You want to know the worst part? I asked. What? Even after everything, the betrayal, the court, all of it, I still love you. You're still my son, and that's the cruelest part of this whole thing, that I can't stop loving you even when you've given me every reason to. Jimmy's face crumpled. I don't deserve that. No, you don't. Can you ever forgive me? I don't know yet. Ask me again in a year, and then maybe the year after that. This isn't something that gets fixed with one apology. I understand. But I took a breath. If you want to rebuild something, not what we had, that's gone, but something new, you're going to have to earn it. One day at a time, one choice at a time. You're going to have to show me that the boy I raised is still in there somewhere. How do I do that? You start by being honest with yourself, with me, about everything. No more easy choices, no more taking the path that's comfortable instead of the path that's right. He nodded. I can do that. I want to do that. We'll see. He left an hour later. I didn't hug him. I didn't walk him to the door. Just watched him go and wondered if I'd ever really get my son back, or if that person was gone forever. The legal settlement from Mitchell's fraud case came 6 months later. $130,000 split among his victims. My share was $18,000. I could have kept it, put it in the bank, left it for Jimmy if we ever got to a place where that made sense again. But I remembered being in that courtroom listening to the DA talk about how many elderly people Mitchell had victimized, how common this kind of exploitation was, how many old folks lost everything because they trusted the wrong person or because their own families saw them as assets instead of people. I remembered how alone I'd felt, and I decided nobody else should have to feel that way. I used that money, plus some of my savings, plus a grant Rosa helped me apply for to start something. The Henderson Community Resource Center, named after Mary, and not me. She always said her mission in life was taking care of people who couldn't take care of themselves. It's not fancy. Just a storefront on Main Street that used to be a vacuum repair shop. But 3 days a week, we open the doors and offer free legal clinics for seniors. Rosa volunteers her time. Bobby and some of his old cop friends run fraud prevention workshops. We have a social worker who does home visits. We have a support group for people whose families have financially abused them. We help people. The first guy who walked through our doors was named Arthur. 81 years old, his grandson had drained his bank account using a stolen debit card. Arthur was too ashamed to report it, too afraid he'd lose the only family he had left. We helped him file a police report, got him connected with victim services, helped him open a new account with better protections, and we gave him a place to come every Wednesday afternoon where other people understood what he'd been through. 3 months later, Arthur brought his grandson to the center. The kid, 23, strung out, desperate, wanted to make amends. We connected him with addiction services, got him into a program. Last I heard, he's been clean for 4 months. Arthur visits him twice a week. We don't always fix things. Sometimes the damage is too deep, the betrayal too complete. But we give people tools. We give them community. We give them the message that they matter, that they're worth protecting, that being old doesn't mean being disposable. Jimmy comes by sometimes, not to the center. That would be too weird. But to my house once a week, usually Thursday evenings. We have dinner. We talk about safe things, work, the news, the weather. Sometimes we talk about harder things, about his divorce, about his therapy sessions. Yes, he's in therapy now. About how he's learning to recognize manipulation, to trust his own judgment, to be the man he was raised to be. It's not easy. Some weeks I still get angry just looking at him. Some weeks I remember the courtroom and want to tell him to leave and never come back. But most weeks, I remember that little boy holding a sparkler. And I remember that people make mistakes. Even terrible, unforgivable mistakes. And that sometimes, if they do the work, they can find their way back. I don't know if we'll ever be what we were, father and son, in the uncomplicated way we used to be, but we're building something slowly, carefully, something that acknowledges the damage while still holding on to hope. Last Thursday, Jimmy brought pie, apple, with a lattice crust. He'd made it himself, following Mary's recipe that I'd taught him when he was 12. It wasn't perfect. The crust was a little tough. The filling was too sweet. But he'd made it with his own hands for me. We ate it together in silence, and for the first time in almost 2 years, the silence didn't feel angry. It felt like a beginning. My name is Frank Henderson. I was 72 years old when my son tried to steal my life away. I was 72 years old when I learned that family can betray you deeper than any stranger ever could. But I was also 72 years old when I remembered something important. Being old doesn't mean being weak. Having gray hair doesn't mean having a soft head. And reaching the end of your life doesn't mean you're done fighting for it. I'm 73 now. I still live in the house I bought with Mary in 1978. I still volunteer at the VFW. I still play poker with Bobby and the guys once a month. And 3 days a week, I open the doors of the Henderson Community Resource Center and help other people like me, people who discovered that the ones they loved saw them as commodities instead of human beings. Some of them reconcile with their families, some of them don't. All of them learn that they're worth fighting for. I don't know how my story with Jimmy ends. Maybe we'll rebuild something real. Maybe we'll stay in this careful, distant place forever. Maybe one day I'll decide I can't do it anymore and close that door for good. But I know this, I'm still here, in my home, on my terms, with my dignity intact. They tried to take that from me. They failed. And every person who walks through the doors of that center, every elderly man or woman who learns they don't have to be a victim, every family that's torn apart by greed and put back together by honesty, that's my revenge. Not against Jimmy, not really. Against the idea that old people are easy marks, that we're used up, that we're just sitting on assets waiting to be claimed by whoever's patient enough to pretend they care. We're not. We're fighters. We're survivors. We're people who've lived entire lives, raised families, built things, lost things, and kept going anyway. And we're worth more than their plans. My name is Frank Henderson. I was 72 when I remembered I was worth fighting for. And every single day I wake up and fight. This is Ruthless Retribution. If this story touched you, if you know someone who needs to hear it, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe, because every case we cover, every story we tell, reminds us that family is complicated, messy, and sometimes painful, but always worth understanding. And if you're out there dealing with something like this, if someone you love is trying to take advantage of you, remember Frank's story. Remember that you don't have to face it alone. There are resources. There are people who will help. You are worth protecting. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves.